Hey, it's Leon here. Today on this video, it's a little bit exciting for me. We're going to talk about one of my favourite things because it's, I think, one of the most powerful things we can do, yet one of the most challenging as well, especially with some of the things that we do encounter as humans. So, there's different ranges of this. But what we're going to talk about today is forgiveness. Forgiveness, resentment, and also grief, because it's a big area of life, grief, when not only we lose someone in a death format, but we lose a lot of people through our lives that are still alive. And that's actually just as hard sometimes, if not harder, because we don't really understand how that has happened, in the sense that we can't really grasp why somebody leaves our life and they're still alive and they don't want to have anything to do with us. So grief sort of matches in a little bit with forgiveness. They are separate. So that in our Freedom Quest, it's different areas and modules, but I just wanted to talk about them together because sometimes we do need to grieve before we can forgive, especially if the person's still alive. But grief has stages, and again, we can talk about them more at a later date. And grief is relevant for death, but it's definitely relevant, which people don't realise, for things that happen and losses in our life, even when we lose a job, when we lose touch with a friend that we used to hang out with, or if we move, just in general, if things change in our life that we didn't foresee coming. So that's kind of why I've just put that in here as well, because grief also needs to take place when we have this disconnect or a blow up or a fight, or when we have issues with somebody who we then need to forgive. So forgiveness is such a beautiful topic because it brings up a lot of things for people. And I know from my own experience, like when we start to dig into forgiveness, we, I guess, sort of first and foremost think, you don't understand, you don't know what I've been through, how could I possibly forgive someone for doing X, Y, Z to me? Now, what people forget or don't really actually have the awareness around, which is what I want to share today, is that forgiveness is really an internal thing. People think if they forgive that they're letting the other person off the hook for what they did. It doesn't work that way. We're all energy. We're made up of energy. So energetically, while we're not forgiving, which is resentment, one of the statements that I made up was the pain is returned to sender, resent, right? Resentment. So also another beautiful saying is like, harboring resentment is like drinking poison but expecting someone else to die. So really, when we're holding so much anger and resentment around someone that we can't forgive, we're actually causing more pain to ourselves than anyone else. Like, it's like holding the hot coal and not letting it go, and it keeps burning us. That's another good analogy. So what we've got to understand is that, again, it's your choice. You can hold this resentment for the rest of your life to your deathbed, and that's actually where some people do let go of any resentment and allow pure love to enter, because they realise how the thing that they were holding on to was just a range of human emotions and their own perception, because there's a lot around perception that we think someone else is wrong, but as Peter Crone says, if your life was exactly the same moments as theirs, you may have actually done the same thing as them. So when we can zoom out and be attached to something greater and into love, which is what we all are at our core and essence, we can then potentially realise that this is an illusion, this stuff that we've held on to. Yes, of course, there's some reality in the human form, but again, while we're holding on to so much resentment, we're actually harming ourselves. So the question I have for you today is, how long would you like this other person or situation to live rent-free in your head, because you're also living in the past, which is, well, it's not really possible. So it's actually an illusion. It's a memory. It's not true. So whilst you're living in the past, you're actually recreating from the past, because we create reality with our thoughts. And again, we can talk more about all of that in the Freedom Quest, but what we think every day, all day, has such a rumination on our reality. It creates our personal reality. So if we're just thinking negatively and about that person that hurt us, it's probably likely that we haven't got the lesson from it yet, and we'll probably get the same lesson. Doesn't that suck? So the sooner we can clean the past up, the sooner we can move forward, and the sooner we can let go of this. But I will also just say that sometimes forgiveness comes in layers, and it's not like we can just forgive today and it's finished and done with. But we certainly can forgive and let go of everything, because it is a choice, right? But there's a big section that we'll go into more in the Freedom Quest around boundaries, though, because we don't only forgive today, we need boundaries tomorrow with respect. So, because it's another reason why people don't forgive, right? They think that if I forgive and say let someone off the hook, then they will be able to do that to me again. That's where we have to get stronger within ourselves and have real core value of our worth, so that we're not actually allowing the same situation to take place. And it doesn't have to be reactive, angry, violent. It just comes from a purity of no, thank you. I do not want to enter into that situation or agreement or anything like that. And that's another topic, because it's a huge area. It's been a struggle for me, boundaries and no. And the more we understand that, the more we can really let go of forgiveness, because those things happened the way that they did for the learnings that we acquired, and therefore to move forward, we need to move forward without those barriers of yesterday, because they're not helpful at all. But there's one other thing that I'll mention around forgiveness, because I believe personally for me, this was the hardest person to forgive, the absolute hardest, and that's self. So it's all sort of part of the process that a lot of people talk about forgiving others because they've hurt us, but the major piece of that puzzle is forgiveness for self, especially because, like, in our eyes, we've done wrong. All of us have done wrong somewhere, and that just is what it is. Like, that's just being a human. Welcome to life. So if we can do the forgiveness piece in Freedom Quest around self, that's going to also change our life dramatically. Because again, we're not going to be so harsh on ourselves. We're not going to be saying such nasty stuff to ourselves, because they say that we have 70,000 thoughts a day, and I reckon a lot of people have 69,000 negative ones per day. So we want to shift that. We want to change that, because we're all energy, as I've said. All our souls working together in harmony, and also bigger picture, what we give out to the world, we get back. So if we're harboring resentment, or if we're being nasty to ourselves, that's rippling out. And the same goes on a positive scale. So the more we are positive, and the more we can harness our future self of being in a joyful state, being authentic and grateful, that more we'll get of that. How exciting. Like, I just think that it's fantastic that we can actually shift this stuff, and to think many people out there probably still believe that we can't, and that we are who we are and our personality is what it is. And it's actually not true. It's been proven that the brain's elastic and we can change. So that's really exciting, and I just can't wait to share more with you. And I'm very excited for when you jump in and do the Freedom Quest. Thanks.